Traffic in mid-Victorian London could be quite chaotic.
Boy, watch your weight.
There were horses everywhere, pedestrians everywhere, and there was a vague rule to keep left if you were driving.
Get out of the way!
A railway engineer decided to do something about this,
Where you going, mate?
and in Westminster,
Your horse just trod on my
the
foot.
first traffic light system in the world was invented.
Here, what's this got to do with Balham?
Patience! Imagine a time when "You're Nick, sunshine" was just a mad phrase from the future. A time when "Move along now, nothing to see here" wasn't a saying anyone used.
I believe you know.
And as for "anything you do say may be taken in evidence," well, that was just a jumble of words nobody had ever heard of until 1829. The Metropolitan Police Service was founded that year by Home Secretary Sir Robert Peel, and on the 29th of September 1829, the first constables of the service appeared on the streets of London. The law-abiding sections of the populace were calling PCs bobbies or coppers or peelers. The less law-abiding, meanwhile, were calling the boys in blue rozzers or the filth. The Metropolitan Police started to go about their business, capturing and bringing wrong-uns to justice with phrases like "Right then, what's all this about? Don't try anything clever, and we'll be keeping an eye on you." But that's not all they were tasked to do in those early years. By 1848 they were keeping order at Chartist demonstrations on Kennington Common. Later still, the police force was tasked with various jobs: lighting gas street lamps at dusk and extinguishing them at dawn, checking that shop shutters and doors were properly secured at night, monitoring and regulating street vendors, buskers and market traders. But the most intensive new duty was managing traffic, horse-drawn vehicles and pedestrians. I can't overstate just how much time the 19th century Met was spending on traffic management compared with crime management. Suffice to say that the modern "if only the police spent less time catching speeding motorists and more time catching criminals" isn't so modern at all. It was ever, well, since 1829, thus. Pedestrian safety was a major issue on London roads. To get to the other side of a busy road, one would set off for the opposite side and hope for the best. There were no crossings, traffic islands, or streetlights. The gentle thud of hoof on skull brought many to face the rudimentary hospital care of the time. Policemen were deployed at busy junctions to try to bring some order to this chaos. They would stop one direction of traffic by showing the palm of their hand and let the other direction through for a while, and then deal with the opposite queue. At times the more kindly coppers would stop both streams of traffic and let pedestrians cross in safety. By the late 1860s, a clever railway engineer called J.P. Knight noticed policemen dealing with the issues at the Westminster junction of Bridge Street, Great George Street and Parliament Street. Every weekday between dawn and dusk they'd manage the situation. It was noticed that there was an overflow of horse-drawn traffic over Westminster Bridge, and this forced thousands of pedestrians to walk dangerously next to the Houses of Parliament. After sunset, the police would just leave their positions, it being too dark to continue, and let the chaos deal with itself. J.P. Knight designed a non-electric, gas-lit semaphore signal. I'm not quite sure of the politics which caused this to be given the go-ahead, but I assume the proximity to the Houses of Parliament helped quite a bit. But the very first system of traffic lights in the world was installed in London on the 9th of December 1868 at this Westminster junction. Knight adapted the semaphore signalling systems that was used on railways. The design combined 3 semaphore arms on a pillar, operated by a police constable. A gas lantern was manually turned on by the traffic police officer with a lever at its base, so that the appropriate light faced the traffic. The light had arms that would extend horizontally that commanded drivers to stop, and then the arms would lower to a 45 degrees angle to tell drivers to proceed with caution. At night there were red and green lamps. The red light would command stop, and the green light indicated caution. It was not only the world's first traffic light, but the world's first traffic light-based pedestrian crossing, It also worked at night, which, at the time, was quite amazing. Less than a month after they were installed, on the 2nd of January 1869, a gas leak caused an explosion, seriously injuring the police officer operating it. Due to this incident, this system was removed. Traffic lights didn't return to London until much later, and well after other world cities were starting to experiment with them. The first manually operated electric traffic lights, again operated by the police, appeared on Piccadilly in 1926. The first fully automated traffic lights were installed also at Piccadilly in 1937. The safety of pedestrians in traffic was woefully dealt with in a car-centric city like London. We'll move on from the role of the police in this continuing story. Belisha beacons were introduced in 1934. A Belisha beacon was simply an upright crossing marker, a flashing orange dome, on a stick. Before 1934, pedestrians had no real priority on Britain's roads. It still required observant drivers to spot the beacons. Zebra crossings, markings on the road crossing between Belisha beacons, were not introduced until the 1950s, and the highway code impelled drivers to stop at these crossings. Things were, at last, improving. Our skim past the X-Way Ministry of Transport experiment of 1967, which used an X instead of a green light for drivers. But this led directly to the introduction of the Pelican crossing in 1969, which was a traffic light causing drivers to stop and let pedestrians cross the road in safety. And rather excitingly, we can now turn to Balham and its role in pedestrian traffic light action. Balham, just outside the station, was home to the UK's first pedestrian diagonal X crossing. A diagonal X crossing, also known as a pedestrian scramble or a Barnes dance, is a type of traffic signal at an intersection that temporarily stops all traffic in all directions. The crossing at Oxford Circus is a prime example of this, but the first one was in Balham. Just before we start the walk itself from Balham to Clapham South, here are some old views of Balham. It's really been one long high street between Collieswood and Balham. It's just a long shopping street. You could call it Tooting High Street. And these videos have been avoiding aforesaid Tooting High Street to see more interesting backwaters. I think we have to now address what it's like walking down a street full of shops. And these two gentlemen are going to help me out.
Yep. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. So perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself and what we're doing today.
Yeah, so I'm Jack. We're going to be going from Balham to Clapham South along Balham High Road. I've lived here just over 5 months now, so not a complete expert in the area, but I know a few of the pubs along the way, and yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it as we go.
Okay.
Cool.
And would you like to introduce your...
I will, and this is my friend Mike as well, who's just come down from Chester for the weekend, who has probably been to a couple of these places on the way, but I'd say might come up with a couple of things as we go, but that's who we are.
The cyclist just over the road from what you can see there is one of the kind of nicer brunchy restaurant-y type places off Balham High Road. Well, also from my experience being like a really kind of popular date spot, so every time you go in there, whether it's a Wednesday evening, Sunday morning, you sort of look at it and everyone I always think's on a date, just because that's like the total vibe of the place. But it's quite a smart one. And then basically opposite that, which we just here on the right, is a pub called Hagen and Hyde, which looks from the outside, it's kind of be just a kind of traditional boozer, but of a kind of weekend, goes on till like 2-3 in the morning, live music till late. You don't find many places in London now that do live music till the proper early hours. Normally it all kind of wraps up about midnight, but Hagen and Hyde's one of the few that bucks the trend. Does a bit of a session and a bit of music till 2-3 in the morning. So I spent a fair few hours in there in my time. Basically, I mentioned on the way back about Hagen and Hyde, so I went there with my housemate just after we'd moved in. It was early January, we'd had a few beers in and around the area. He sort of finished off at about 11, we're walking home, and he said to me, I really fancy a takeaway. But at the time, we didn't really know the area about that. And I said, okay, so what are you fancying? Like kebab, like a McDonald's? He said, no, fancy something like chicken or pizza or something like that. And I said, oh, we'll walk up from the circle, find somewhere else. Anyway, walked up there, a little bit half-cut, and saw the chicken and pizza.com shop and thought, as we're in the right fitting you in, isn't it? Exactly. And he looked at it and went, nah, but fancy it. And I thought, you couldn't have laid it more on a plate. I've never seen a more literal takeaway.
Yeah.
And still never been into this day.
Wow.
There we go.
Guess we're not going in now then.
Not going in now. No, save it for another day.
So this is just a little road off Balham High Road. But down there, I'm not sure too much if you're aware of Soho House, but basically it's a big old organisation all across the world. Loads of them in London, kind of private kind of members places, typically we'll have bars, gyms, all of that sort of thing, where you can go and do nice bits and pieces. Little House Balham is a little place down there, which is just basically a little door that's just off a road that you'd never really notice, but is actually, I believe, the newest Soho house in
Can we have a look
London.
at it?
Yeah, we can. We might not be able to get in.
No, don't want to get in. Just want to show the door.
But I want to show you the door. Yeah. It's just down here. So I actually ended up blagging my way in a couple of weeks ago because I was looking at this actually. I remember. But it's a bar and a restaurant for 70 quid a month, which you then have to go and spend London prices in.
Oh, great!
To go and
Perfect.
to go and drink and eat. So it's the kind of upside of it is it's a nice place to kind of work during the day, but things being as they are around here, 70 quid a month just to gain access to a place. At the moment, I'm still struggling with the concept. So. Yeah, that's what we've got. I can't remember exactly where it is.
So it's looking for a secret door.
Secret door, yeah. It's going to be down here.
All right. Can we get across back to the main road as well? Yeah, we can.
It's big.
Well, there it is.
I think it's this place here.
Right. Let's avoid the bikes and get across. Not seeing the door yet.
No, so it's basically these sorts of places, they aren't like typically with like header boards and stuff. You wouldn't know what it was. So that's the door there.
The green door.
The green door, yeah. So you go in there. I don't want to spill all the secrets, but it's basically just a members club where you have to go in and either show your membership or the one time I did it, flag your way in saying that you wanted to be a member. Japanese restaurant, sushi, smart bar, everyone looking quite fancy. And as I say, the newest Soho house.
And I love the fact it's an unmarked door. That's always a
in London. Yeah, exactly. So a little tidbit there for Balham. Everywhere over London now, you're seeing all these kind of street food places pop up, little huts, little box parks, and other kind of examples. This one is the only one I've seen that it's got that vibe that feels like it should do well, but it's on a major high road, major traffic noise, and I've never actually seen anybody in there. Depending.
Was that even in the summer? You haven't been there in the summer?
I haven't been in the summer, but I don't know. It feels like someone's read something somewhere that you put one of these up in London, and it won't fail. And what you're seeing now is pretty much every time I've ever been down it, what it looks like. Sort of good in theory, quite trendy, quite cool. Never actually come to fruition, in my experience.
There's got to be an ex-cinema.
So the Avalon, which is the furthest up towards Clapham South on this wall, is one of the more kind of notable hubs sort of on this road, if not the most, in the sense that, so come kind of 9 o'clock on a Friday and a Saturday night, where the entrance to that pub is, that queue will be going back almost to the gate, if not beyond. It's really, really kind of heaving hub on a Friday night. And a nightclubby style vibes. You can see already it's like a better time it is now, particularly with Pathe there. You've got bouncers on the door, kind of can't get over close. And
Would you say that young people are drinking more lager than they are bitter?
Yeah, so that's a good point actually. Yeah, so that's the thing. A lot of the pubs from certainly around London now it's become rarer that you see like bitter and ale taps actually on in a lot of pubs. There's a big kind of selection of like different lagers and ciders and things, but they're all kind of mainstream. You don't see as much kind of local bitters and things on taps in and around this area as you probably once would have been.
a pigeonhole in the wall. So it's not just a missing brick. That's actually a pigeonhole.
Oh, that's what you're pointing to.
There's one there and there's one there.
Zoom in on that.
Natural genuine.
So here we are at Clapham South. I'd just like to thank Jack and Mike for the tour.
No problem.
All right.
Been a pleasure.
We will continue our evening and leave you in peace and join you the next time.
See you later.